Hi, I'm Bill Palmer from Grit City Fire and EMS Training. Tonight, we're going to talk about primary search. Saving lives takes on many different roles in what we do, but the most dramatic thing that we need to prepare for is grabbing victims from inside of structure fires. Tonight, we're going to talk specifically about residential structure fires. And we're going to talk specifically about the primary search, which is the first search we're going to do of the occupancy. It's done during a time in the fire that is the most dangerous. It's done during the development of the fire. It's done during the time when the fire is taking hold inside the structure. And we've got to be able to do this search fast, effectively, under extreme conditions. We must be flexible in tactics and aggressive in decision making. That decision making is going to start with the information that you get from your size up. Doing a good size up is very important. You get some information on your way to the call, but as you're approaching the structure, you're going to be taking in a ton of information. If you're driving, or have your driver pull past the structure when you pull up to this fire, that way you get at least 3 sides view. Be very weary about the all clear that's given by bystanders when you arrive. It's not always the case that they know exactly what's going on inside that structure. And unfortunately, there are times where we are met maybe by somebody who had something to do with what happened inside that structure, and they could be giving you bad information. Remember, a structure is not vacant until we determine that it is vacant. So what are we looking for when we pull up? Well, first and foremost, is it residential? Is it commercial? What type of construction is it? Is it a 1-story? Is it a 2-story? Remember that different types of building construction pose different types of problems when it comes to fires and possibly search. We want to know, does this have a basement? Are there signs of occupancy? Do you have toys out on the front porch? Do you have trash cans down by the curb, car in the driveway, lights on inside? We're looking for signs of occupancy. Obviously, we're also looking for fire. We're looking for where the fire might be. Do we see flames? Do we only see smoke? And what are the conditions? What time of day is it? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? We know that we're more likely to find certain victims in certain places depending upon the time of day, sometimes even the time of year. We know that during the holidays, we tend to get more people staying over at homes. Family comes into town, things like that. Also at this point, it's really important to start taking some mental notes about where windows are, where entrances are, and even where staircases are. One big warning, do not go by the term vacant, even if your dispatch tells you. A vacant structure is only vacant when we determine that it is vacant. Now, at some point early into the event, somebody's going to need to do a 360 of the entire structure. If you can pull that off as the company officer before making entry, just to look to make sure you have a full view of what's going on, maybe find some livable spaces, or your chief officer, when they arrive, or whoever takes over command of the fire, will be the one to do this. Now, if you're the first in engine and you're going to be doing a primary search, you're going to want to bring a hand line with you, unless it's a situation where you may be doing a vent, enter, isolate search. But if you're going in through the front door, side door, or rear door, bring a hose line with you. If you're a truck company or ladder, or your second or the third engine there and there's already a line in place, then consider bringing in a water can with you. You'd be amazed what you might get done with it. If you start to encounter high heat while you're searching and you do have a hose line with you, open the line, throw water, lower the heat down. If you can start feeling heat through the thousands of dollars of fire protection you have, imagine what it's like for the victims that's inside there. We have got to lower the heat, make it as tenable as possible until we can get to those people. Also, don't forget the concept of ventilating for life. We do sometimes need to ventilate in order to try to achieve better conditions inside that structure. Same as by throwing water and cooling the structure. If we can get good air coming in with a good flow path and bad air being exhausted but in the right place, we can make conditions a bit better inside there for hopefully some survival. As far as other tools, everybody should have a radio. Communication is going to be key here. Thermal imaging camera is a great idea as well. Always think the possibility of having to do forcible entry, so the irons should be off the truck and in play. Also, bring some webbing with you. It'll help out a lot if you have to do any drags. Make sure everybody also has a hand light. It's a good idea to maybe bring even a bigger hand light in so that you can use it on the inside as a guide to bring someone back to you. Drivers, you got a role in this too. And it's not just standing on the pump panel looking pretty. Focus in on that yard. Look for anybody that may have made their way out of the structure, but maybe collapsed right outside of it. Look around where the windows are, sometimes even in the bushes and things. And chauffeurs, be ready to do some EMS stuff. If they pull somebody out of that building, you're going to need to be the one that gets up there with that EMS bag and starts getting to work. Those guys may need to go back in there for another one. When there are lives on the line inside of a structure, this is when, in our risk-benefit analysis, we are going to risk a lot to save a lot. So with that being said, we've got to be prepared. We have to know what tactics to employ when, what type of searches to do when, how to blend search techniques together. So there's 3 general categories of search. We've got our standard search, our oriented search, and then our vent, enter, isolate search. So now let's get into the how and when to apply these searches and when it makes sense to blend them together. For teaching purposes, we're going to proceed as if we are a 3-person engine company that arrives on scene first. The standard search is designed for those common areas of the structure. So those areas that you enter into, like the living room, dining room, kitchen, larger areas that need searched. In school, you probably learn to pick left or right and then proceed along the wall. But in real life, you've got furniture and other things. Plus, with 2 people, you need to go left and right. Firefighters from LA County, they enter, one goes left, one goes right. They are searching with their hands. They have tools, but they're not using the tools to actually reach out and try to search. They're using their hands. One of the things we want to do as we're making our way through the structure is to verbally call out for victims. And also remember kids. Remember that kids sometimes like to hide. So we will have to search some of those areas that we would possibly take for granted, like closets, under beds, things like that. Kids, when they get scared, they hide. Moving a hose line through a structure and searching a structure are 2 separate skill sets. If you are going to be bringing in a hose line with you for the search, just be aware that part of your movement and part of your time is going to be spent moving that line, spacing out enough to do it around bends, running back and forth and pulling line from the door if you don't have enough manpower. It is going to take away some time that you could be devoting to search, so just keep that in mind. There are a lot of instances when you have multiple companies able to work together that you can do fire attack and a search at the same time with 2 different crews. If you're lucky enough to spawn from a house where an engine and a ladder are both responding together, this is that perfect circumstance. The engine can start fire attack while the ladder crew starts search. It can work out a lot better that way. As they proceed down the hallway after searching that living room, making their way towards the fire room, every room that they come into contact with, they are going to switch over to an oriented search. This type of a search leaves one of the firefighters at the door as the orienter and the other firefighter entering into the bedroom
to do the search. They can make their way back to the door by the voice of the firefighter or by a light, but they have an anchor at that door. The old way of teaching search stated that firefighters had to stay together and be linked physically. That is the worst way to do search. You cannot do it fast that way. You've got to break off from each other. Just stay within verbal contact. When you are searching bedrooms, be careful not to miss bunk beds. Bunk beds can easily be missed if you do not do a good swipe over top to make sure that there is not the top bunk there. If you miss that, that could be major. Also, with cribs, bring the crib down to the floor. Take it down from the side, down to you. Anytime you're pulling a victim, we want to get them down to the floor. Remember, with our thermal layering, that's going to be the coolest area. Even if it's not as cool as we would want it to be, it's going to be the coolest area. Now, the third type of residential search that we need to know how to do is our vent, enter, isolate search. And this is a search where we're going to enter the structure through primarily a window, and we're going to search the room that we enter. This is a form of an oriented search. As you can see in this video here, one firefighter is going to stay at the window while the other firefighter finds the door, checks the hallway quickly, scans it, looking for victims, isolates them into that room by shutting it, and then searches the room back towards the window. He's searching the area he could not see with the tick first. It's a good tactic. And then he's working his way back to the orienter, which is at the window. This is perfect when you know there is somebody in a specific room.
This task takes a group of specialized skills. These skills we must train on. We must get better through repetition and through learning new concepts and being flexible, being open to going in one direction or the other in terms of the tools that we have in our toolbox. When you train, make sure some of that training is devoted to feeling things with your gloves on, getting a feel for what things feel like. If you're searching in zero visibility, you have got to be able to differentiate between a person and a bag of clothing or a piece of furniture. And this is why we should never use tools as what we are putting forward during our search to actually find things. We have got to use our hands. One of the things you should be training on is how to get a victim that is lifeless up and out of a window. Also, how to ladder a window and put firefighters on the ladder to take a victim down the ladder that's lifeless. When we say lifeless, we're talking about no muscle tone. A lot of our victims, even when they are still alive, will present lifeless because they are unconscious. It is very different moving somebody that is lifeless. If you plan on using a thermal imaging camera when you train, just be careful, because what you're going to see through it when you have a room with no heat in it is going to be very different than what you're going to see inside of a structure that's on fire and has heat in it. Very different. Your brain can almost get trained the wrong way because it's used to seeing something, and then it won't be able to differentiate what it sees when it's different. So just be careful with that. So a little tip when you're training on these things: practice movement through the structure, and don't practice it just one way. There are times when we can move through the structure by standing. Good rule of thumb is if you can see the floor from standing, stand up. It's a lot faster to do the search. If there's too much smoke and you can't see the floor, you've got to be down on the floor. It could be scooting, it could be crawling. That's going to depend. It's very difficult to scoot through a building that is cluttered, through a room that has a lot of furniture and a lot of stuff in it. You may end up crawling, but practice all the ways. That way
you can do whatever is fastest for that situation. Train on resuscitation out the door. Train on resuscitating a victim as soon as they are brought out of a structure. Assign clear rules about how that's going to go down if you can. I already mentioned the driver is going to play a big role in this, but we have to have a plan of attack for resuscitation. Incident commanders, do not hesitate to start standard searches and vent, enter, isolate searches concurrently. Get that structure searched as fast as possible. Also, when you're assigned to do a primary search of a specific floor, do not go to another floor of the house without letting command know that you've moved to another floor. They're expecting you to be in a certain place. The bottom line is, it doesn't matter how many people you show up with. When search is needed, somebody has to do it. If there's only 2 of you, then the 2 of you have to do the search. If there's only 1 of you, then you have to set the pump and then do the search. What else are we there for? Why even show up at that point if we're not going to do the search? And I know that flies against every NFPA sentence you've ever read, but that's the reality of it. What are we here for? We're here for that. Rescue is a completely separate set of skills. We must communicate with command when we find a victim and let them know that we have found a victim and let them know what our plan is to get that victim out. It is not always the best idea to take that victim through the house the way we came in. That's why from the outside, before you get in there, starting to understand building construction and starting to see where windows are and things like that are important. Because sometimes when you find a victim, getting them to the closest window and out is the best thing that you could do. Think about the conditions you may have went through to get to them. Do you want to drag them back through those conditions? Not always the best bet. Be prepared to come across victims that are obviously deceased. There is a time and a place when leaving the victim where you find them is going to take place. I've had a few that they were as burnt and charred up as Halloween decorations. There is no rescue there. Leaving them in place helps with the investigation that moves forward about their death and about the circumstances that happened. But without vision, if it's an unknown situation, do what you have to do and get that person out. EMS, if you're watching this, when you do a standby for a fire, you should have your cot, your bag, your monitor, your oxygen, your suction, everything you need for resuscitation right out front of the structure, ready to go. Do not have to run back to your truck to get stuff. So here's the bottom line. To effect a successful rescue in the circumstances that we're dealing with, a lot of things have to line up and go right. What we need to work on are those things we bring to the table. Search and rescue is hard, and it takes a lot of skill. This is where we separate those firefighters from those t-shirt firefighters. It's at these moments. For those of you watching, I hope you got something out of this. If your department would like more training like this in person, give us a shout. If you're in Northeast Ohio, Western Pennsylvania, Grid City Fire and EMS training, we'll come to you. We'll work on these things. We'll get you ready. Stay smart, train hard, stay aggressive.